Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you I think the first time I've ever done this, a live review. I had a lot of stuff to talk about, and I didn't want to bog it down into editing or other stuff like that. I wanted to get my thoughts out clearly, as such. And then you'll be able to get more information on the podcast, where we'll dive into the ideas and we'll contrast them with other ideas. But for here, in the review, is to put them out, flesh them out, and see what you guys think about what I thought about the chapter and what they're bringing to us. There's a lot of different things that are occurring here, and it's gonna be fun to dive into it. So let's get it started. First, let's talk about the biggest, most obvious point, the reason why half of you guys were checking out the reaction and why you were commenting and what your responses were about the Rover situation. So, in chapter 1, 2, 3, Rover encounters the new Fubuki group, and he is known as a great, powerful, durable tank of a high dragon. Rover's arguably the strongest dragon that we've seen outside of the extremities that we know of, with Orochi and Boros. So, with that being the case, to see him face the new Fubuki group is it's a crazy thing, right? All crazy setup, bang, bomb, and Fubuki. Genos isn't with them, Saitama isn't with them, so it's just them. But it's still an amazing setup. We have two high S-class level fighters there, and then you have a psychic, who we know that psychic powers can be dynamic in any kind of situation, regardless of strength. We saw that with Gearspur. So, then we get the big issue that I have with the chapter. So, Rover straight blast the new Fubuki group with one of his cannons. This is where it gets very controversial, and where all the comments that I've been reading in the comment sections and in the Discord start to diverge into different paths. So, my issue with the situation is that Fubuki should not be able to have a force field up that could resist a blast from Rover. Even if she was able to put one up in time, excuse me, it should have been destroyed immediately, as soon as it hit it. But that didn't happen. In fact, she was able to tank the attack, and then the little structure that she was standing on to actually stop the attack crumbled once it hit the ground. So I'm trying my hardest to see the other arguments that people are bringing up. Primarily, Rover just got up from a huge smack from Saitama. He may not be at full capability. Maybe some of his single blasts aren't as powerful as they were up against Saitama himself or Gyoro. That could be a case. It's plausible enough to consider. Then we also have the situation where we actually had to look through some panels to divulge this, but apparently Rover not only does volleys of blasts, but single cannons. The first time that he hit Gyoro point blank, and then the second time that he hit Gyoro point blank, were two occasions of single cannon blasts. It may not seem hugely important, but if you were to reread the fight and not pay close attention, you would miss over that he's differentiating between blasts, and he may even be putting a lot more force into certain blasts. That final attack that he did to Gyoro to send him through the force to Gyoro's basically living room, that was a pretty powerful single release. So it seems that we can deduce that Rover is able to add more or less force into his attacks, and he's also able to throw a lot more of them. Symbolically, I believe this represents barking, but that's to the side, because the symbolism of the situation also refers to the previous chapter, where Rover, through Drive Knight's research, was inferred to be submissive to those who are stronger to him, or that show superior capability to him. Though I think that's absurd, or it's misinterpreted. There does seem to be some symbolism going on here. So I'm wondering why. Maybe it's not symbolic, but why is Rover being not necessarily shown negatively? Maybe it's my own perception, my own bias, that's making me think that Rover's being shown negatively, because I think he just shouldn't be touched. His reputation shouldn't be compared to. But as I further think about it, I can't go with that reasoning. I'm gonna use this comparison, and it's kind of absurd. It's kind of drastic, but I think it hits the point exactly. Whenever we saw Gyoro encounter Gyoro, Orochi, and Rover, it was in succession. They all showed their abilities up against him, and he resisted up against all of them. It was only up against Rover where Gyoro showed extreme caution and fear. Up against Gyoro, he, with tenacity, was able to confront her and then get out of her like psychic restraint. Something that necessarily shouldn't be as easy as what it seemed. I'm not trying to say that it was easy, but you need to be a lot harder to resist a psychic user like that. Then we have the Orochi encounter, where just by sheer will, he was able to endure the thrashing that Orochi was throwing out, dodging all kinds of attacks and volleys, dealing with high heat attacks, cannon punches, all kinds of things happened to Gyoro, and he dealt with it. He dealt with it head on, and he even talked shit to Orochi, telling him, "You're lacking the fear factor. Like you don't scare me." But it was up against Rover that we got a flashback to his childhood, where he's saying, "I don't want to die. Point blank, I'm done." One of the classic panels. Just when Rover came out the first time, he said, "So this is a dragon." Once again, I'm not saying that Gyoro, and especially not Orochi, aren't more capable or didn't show more impressive things than Rover. It may also be the fact that that was the first dragon that he encountered. So we technically saw how Gyoro responded in a situation of extreme adversity. You know they tell you that like you can either like fight or flight. It's one of the two. Whether it's like an actual like life or death survival situation, whether it's a social situation, there are times where you have to make decisions that like decide a lot of stuff in a split second. And Gyoro managed to overcome those issues. That is why I'm saying that this is a problem for me. Because if we are to undermine the ability of Rover, if we're going to question how strong, how tough, how crazy, how like just capable old boy is, we're technically degrading Gyoro. Like, it's decreasing the magnitude of Gyoro's feat. So that's why I'm trying to fight so hard. That's why I'm trying to push this narrative to you guys. And I'm going to be strong with it that, like, this isn't cool. I even suggested, like, we're probably going to get a redraw for that within the next year or something, because that's kind of absurd. Now, I want you guys to, like, know that I did, like, look through this. I'm not trying to spew out biasness and love for Rover. I even went back to the ideal Fubuki fight up against Saitama. Not the Dos S one. That was a little bit more scattered. Up against Saitama, she was able to show a lot of her capability. About a city blocks area worth of like manipulation, where she's throwing up the wind, moving buildings and stuff like that. Stuff that like to an extreme degree I would be okay with Fubuki doing. Feats that she hasn't necessarily done, but that seem within the realm of her like expansiveness. That she could grow to that in a single battle. I don't see that from Rover. I don't see that. That's my problem with the situation. One second, I got a second for actually live. Okay, I think we're live. We're good. All right, so let's go back to the discussion because we got a lot more to hop into. All right, so with that being said, that's my consideration for it as to why I think I have a problem with Fubuki blocking Rover's attacks, because it not only like undermines Rover's destructiveness, craziness that he's displayed throughout this entire arc, but it undermines other characters that have gotten feats based on him as well. There's a lot more to it. Now, we also aren't exploring the fact that this raises the stock for Fubuki like greatly. We can argue whether Rover's stock drops or not, and that's to be speculated on. And like I said, we'll be contrasting that idea that I just laid out on the podcast that's coming up in a few days. So make sure you check that out before the end of the year. Should be able to release 2 more podcasts actually. So stay tuned for that. But that's why I want to put a glass on that, a strong magnifying glass, some more scrutiny on that idea. But on the other side, as I was saying, Fubuki's stock, like, to be able to do this, she's not completely like fucking shattered from it. I am kind of wondering why you're bleeding and why you're all torn up from that, but I guess it's like the turbulent winds or like the turbulent force was able to get through the force field. That's how you explain it. I don't know exactly, but this is impressive. As much as I want to say it's invalid and it shouldn't be done, it's here. It's what I have to deal with, and it's what we have to like now consider and evaluate within the power scaling until Monata does decide to like retcon it, redraw it, whatever the case may be, if there is even a case, which is not even likely if anything. But we're now going into the realm of conversations that I've wanted to have for a long time, and I'll probably bring this up in the podcast as well. It's already been shut down, and we actually already addressed it, but the looming concept of the new S-Class has been brought up not only by us, but by One and Murata. We're seeing the generations or the support team possibly coming up. Even Second Guard himself in canon is commenting about how these guys may be capable or the next generation of fighters. So, I wanted to make a video about the S-Class that nobody's talking about. Neon. Amazing feats up against dragons, doing his thing, surviving, even though he ultimately loses. But that's to be expected of most single individuals. You're not necessarily going to beat a dragon unless you're going to beat a dragon. Yeah, then you can beat a dragon. But if not, then I don't think it's necessarily like a drop in stock to have that be the case, or you don't get it. So, case in point, Fubuki now has his capability. Not only did Gearspur recently show an impressive feat with his second capability, now Fubuki's showing out with this as well. I suspect that she'll also have more to do in the actual fight up against Rover with Bang and Bomb here, but I also suspect that she'll be pushed back to the side. I could see more of a chivalrous action be taken by Bomb or Bang. I could see that, but that's not what happened just now. They even seem somewhat nonchalant, not too much. Bang is the one that's jumping up and down with his hands behind his back. But Bomb does seem aware of this looming threat in front of them. So I'm really interested to see what dynamic's going to play out. Is it going to be a team effort where we're going to see Fubuki actually put in work and prove that she is possibly the next S-Class or the next rank there? We're already talking about it. We've already speculated about it. How, aside from the three disciples, she's right there. She could probably even beat the disciples, aside from Eon. So... The conversation of Fubuki being a high A class is non-negotiable. It's just how effective does a support team member work in tandem with S class like this? Like, I don't want to say that like the support team was completely doo-doo, but like them niggas was fucking trash because when Neon showed up, there was no S class there. But then we have the instance up against the AB8 up against Gyoro. We could argue when Gyoro turned into a dragon, but in that time frame, Gyoro had the power level of a dragon. Whether it was after the A8 came, whether it's whenever he fought Genos, but for a fact, I know that blocking that, deflecting that death gatling through, dragon feet. So, there is a possibility that lower guys or support team guys could do something. Like, that could be a case in a big level fight. Gyoro even himself mentioned that if they would have had one S-Class there, that they could have probably won and taken him down. It was their own arrogance and their own pride to establish the A and B and C and D and the rest of the classes as significant that put them in that precarious situation. They chose to get defeated technically for their pride. So, now it's different. Now you have two high, strong A classes. Will Fubuki falter in that presence? Will she not hold up to standard? Will she be getting bodied the entire time? Will she be handicapped? Will she be getting saved? Or will she, hold her own? Actually prove that she's worth something? That's the next thing that we should think about, just in contrast to that. Now, like I said, this video is going to be long because there's a lot to go into. We're just in the first point about the whole rover situation, but I got another part of it. Just like I said before, everything's entangled, and all the parts that come out and other parts that are introduced mold the entirety of, if you think of the power scaling as a tower, right? Just consider it like that. Every action, every new piece of information, whether you think about it or not, affects the bottom foundation, affects how the things are going to go to the top. It's all intricate. So now we've seen what Bang and Bomb could do together to EC. A dirt buddy tank. Arguably the next toughest thing besides the Dark Matter Thieves ship. This isn't something that can be like just said as like true. I can't tell you that Rover is more durable than EC. This is where it gets like, this is where the Discord is gonna come through and like, tighten up, nigga. What the fuck you talking about? Saitama held back. Saitama did throw a serious punch at EC, but we all know he extremely holds back. But it's a dubbed attack, so we have to give that consideration. We know that there was even context to Saitama holding back and just putting him down. Well, that's bad for animal, but like, and just spanking him, quote unquote. That's what he did, spanked Rover, and then he went away. So I'm going to say that the EC punch was stronger than what he did to Rover. Rover got knocked out. EC exploded and died. There's evidence to push that Rover is comparably durable to EC. There's evidence to push that. But the fact that he molts is something that I want to claim towards that point. Like, he molts and then he came back. But he still got fucking shredded through. We're talking about a conversation where Rover is now in range, not necessarily physically in range, but like the story could reach a point where Rover takes that roaring shit. I forgot the name of this order or something, but he may be on the receiving end of that shit. Are we expecting Rover to be okay? Are we considering a situation where like we're looking at animal abuse, quote unquote? I don't think so. So there haven't really been that many people that hit Rover, and it may be a claim to strength. What I'm getting at is that, like, culturally wise, there's censorship here. There's censorship here. Like, that happens all the time for women. That's why you don't see men hitting women that much. That's why we didn't really see, like, Amai beating down on Dos S. It wasn't because it was just sexual context. We don't really see violence towards women that much. It's minor, and we do see it sometimes, and it is slipped in there, but it's never, like, as bad as it is with males. That's unanimously throughout, like, most of Japanese culture. So I'm wondering if it's a similar instance for animals. If Rover's gonna take that instance, if that's why we won't see that, but then at the same time, like, I'm basically asking you guys, what do you guys think the cadence of the fight's gonna be? Like, is it too inhumane to fucking pop Rover? Like, what if Bang and Bomb hit that motherfucker and he pops, right? Like, that's what happened to EC. What if he pops? Is that humane? Is that like okay to draw? Is the humanity or the ethics of it, the censorship, even like considered here? Because like Dos S was like on her knees about to suck this nigga on my dick, bit like that. We saw that shit. This nigga Murata got in trouble for almost drawing Fubuki's titties in that lingerie shit like thing. Outside of the canon manga, just I think it was on a cover page. He got in trouble for that. He had to like add some clothing to it. So there's clearly censorship going on with the manga. I just don't know to what degree and if like how deeply it's integrated in the canon of the story, because we're talking about something that's going to be the case. For a long time, I've argued that like Bang by himself should be able to challenge the meteor. He was talking shit like he would be able to do an aura fist by himself, half force or whatever, because his bomb isn't there obviously, and it could challenge the meteor. Obviously, I believe they would fail, but just to be able to challenge the meteor, as I'm saying, to challenge the meteor is a feat on its own. So once again, I know it's weird to bring this up, but it's not weird. We have to address this. Bang and Bomb versus Rover. That's coming up. We escalated the last week or a few weeks ago with fucking Darkshine and Gyoro. So like, my niggas, like, what's gonna happen here, man? Is Rover about to body these niggas? Like, this is the new Fubuki group. The new Fubuki group. They can't have permanent injuries like this. Is Rover done? We thought he was exiting the story before when Saitama punched him and took him out. That's what Sasuke claimed anyways. So I don't know what's going on here. Let's get the process moving, because that was basically it. I wanted to make a comparison with Gyoro too, just to see, like, because there's a trinity there: EC, Bang, Bomb, or Bang really, and Gyoro. Rover fought Gyoro. Phoenix told Gyoro that like EC's on a whole other level, to worry about him. Then he was told that they survived and killed EC. Rover got Gyoro got his ass bust by Bang. Bang and Bomb together couldn't completely kill EC. And now they're going up against Rover. There's all the connections we could draw a fucking crime chart with all the connections and lines here. This fight means everything. This fight means more than what you would like it to mean. It's not that I'm implying more into it. It's not that I'm putting more into it. This fight means that much. It's going to change how we see things, and it should. If people are telling you that it's not, then they're not reading it correctly, or they're not being as insightful into not only the power scaling but the canon. A lot of people, a lot of times people break the entire conversation down into like meatheads, like fighting power scaling only, and then like people who just like plot or whatever. If you want to do that, that's fine, but you have to consider all the aspects of both. I'd rather put them all together as in one and see what the author's trying to tell us exactly, because that's how they write. They write with emotion, they write with intent. And a lot of these physical fights are meant to show emotional things or represent things that have happened in these people's lives, or little instances of stories, you know? Like, oh, I had a bully in fucking school and he kept like beating me up until I fucking beat his ass at the end of the school year. That's a rivalry story. That's fucking a rival that keeps beating you the entire time and then you overcome him at the end. That happens all the time. It's all kinds of metaphors like that happen. So we have to pay attention. This instance is for the power scaling side, sure, but it's going to affect all of it. Like for a long time, this is going to change. So keep your eye out to what's going on here. Pig God got hyped the fuck out of while he's getting his ass bust. I know he climbed out this nigga's mouth at the end and he's showing out, and he's continuously been resistant in the little like last cliffhangers that we've gotten from Pig God versus Gums. He's been resilient enough to keep fighting, so that's cool to see. But he's getting monopolized. Like this fight does seem like Gums is in complete control, like just beating this nigga's ass the entire time. Like even the Atomic showdown with the FAS, but Pig isn't. And now we get this hype for him. It seems that we can confirm his form of mutation, of his monsterification. You guys remember, I think it was chapter 96. One of the chapters where Zombieman was talking to Dr. Genus about the intricacies of monsterification and monsterization, how people become monsters in general. And it seems that similar to Grablante or guys like that, maybe like Ton Stretcher or whatever, that he was just doing something continuously eating, and the characteristics that developed from that happen to be beneficial and extreme. 1 second. Damn, bro. Oh, no. My mic is, oh, fuck, bro. All right. All right, my bad. So I'll just repeat what I said. So, okay, I'm talking about Amai, right? All right. So hold on, let me check what the fuck part I was at, cause I bro. I fucked my shit, dog. You muted, Sai. I wonder what he's talking about. Damn, bro. Damn, for a minute, bro. All right. Can we talk about your girl takes over? All right. Okay. So, did I talk about Pig God? Tell me if I talk about Pig God. Did y'all hear me say Pig God? Y'all niggas in chat. Let me see. Y'all right on fucking thing. Let me tell me on the comment section. Let me know if shit. I don't know if it's all right. Let's go then. All right, straight up. So, yeah. All right. So, I was saying that for Pig God, we learned about his mutation process, how this individual is similar to Crablante, tongue stretcher, and how he goes. We learned about with Zombieman back with Dr. Genius that there are certain individuals that mutate in certain ways. It's not just monsters, but humans and heroes may have similar forms of transformation. So it seems we can identify Pig God as being of that type. His gluttonous actions and the characteristics that developed from his gluttonous actions gave him these amazing traits that are almost prime and ideal. So the question comes that as I mentioned, I feel like I've heard these ideas or stupid ass theories that fat, gluttonous, big humans is like the prime state of humanity or whatever. So this may be an architect of that, trying to exemplify that this fat, huge, gluttonous slob may be embodying Superman. Is Pig God Superman? Or is the characteristics of Superman like that? Because it's basically how they explained it. It's really indomitable. I'm not sure if the whole blade thing and the whole trauma thing is completely true, because Gums is obviously beating on him. But I'd be interested to see a Metal Bat versus Pig God or Atomic versus Pig God and see how that would turn out. Because he seems to eat his opponent's whole. Let's get on to the Amai thing. What I just hashed out with Amai is that this story is, there's a lot of layers to this entire setup. I didn't have interest in the Amai fight, like I said before, because it just seems so shallow. He's just running from it in his fear. But then put the pieces together, and especially the picture that we saw with the mirrors on the ground, it seems obvious now what the symbolism is and how deep one is going with all of this stuff. So Amai is looking down at this broken glass, and we don't see Fuhrer ahead of him or in front of him or anything like that. We see the reflection of Fuhrer, while Amai is looking down at the glass underneath him. So this is a clear indicator of what it's trying to represent to us. Amai is looking at himself. He's afraid of himself. The ugliness and the monster that's within him is what he's fighting right now. And that's what the symbolism comes all the way back in on itself. That this guy who's hiding himself behind this mask, who's afraid of what's inside of himself, is going to this extent and is now physically fighting the embodiment of what he's most afraid of. And he's literally running from it. It's classic symbolism, but it's done so well that nobody's paying attention to it. It's just a little glimpse right there. This is so masterful, and you have to look at it, you have to pay attention to it, but this is exactly what it is. And you look at it in the real world, in real life, how individuals, you hear about this all the time, movie stars, rap artists, all these kinds of great social media presences and influencers that on the inside they're dying, they're ugly, they hate their situation, and they're not okay. They're grieving, truly grieving. And this is an example of that. This guy's literally holding the exact same characteristics of that. He's a fucking movie star, a mega star, bro. It's Amaimask. And now he's fighting himself. So that has blown up my interest for the fight to see how that's gonna play out. How if Amaimask is gonna change, because we for a minute, especially Matt, has gone in deep with speculation for Amaimask's possibilities as a character later on, his development, growth, integration to the storyline, how he's gonna influence different people and himself is gonna change later on. Maybe even Saitama himself being involved with it. This gives us a different avenue for all of that, a whole different viewpoint and a different set of possibilities. Like, how is Amai gonna be different after encountering Fira Ugly? The true ugliness within himself, the true monster. Will he overcome it? Will he embody his true monster? Or will he repress it and just get through it? I'm interested to see how that character changes because Amai, even though he's hated, he's cool, interesting. So, Amaimask, bro. Let's see. All right. You waited 30 minutes for it. You got it. All right. Atomic is getting clapped. Listen, bro. It's just one little instance, one fight. Like, fuck, bro. I can't even. Bro. They had one of the sperms hanging off. Like, the nigga was hanging off his blade, bro. Fucking A, my nigga. Like, you don't know how disrespectful that is, bro. Like, not even holding this nigga up by his ponytail. That's what happens when you look down on me. But you got black sperm hanging off his blade, bruh. No, bruh. Like, the disrespect. The disrespect is, oh my God. Like, I can't. It's too much, bro. Like, fuck. Bruh. The nigga pulled out the focus atomic slash. And now you finna tell me that you got a nigga hanging off his blade? Oh. But look, bruh. Atomic finna get the upper hand. Atomic finna just come in on that nigga, bro. Tighten up, bro. Cause look, old boy ain't done. Old boy, just like Pig, I was able to, ruffle out of there. The next few panels from the season, Atomic cutting that nigga in half, man. You already know, bro. We're not down and out. That is not the case, man. This is Atomic Samurai, and after this, he'll be known as a tank too. So I'm done with the disrespect, the fucking slander. My nigga hasn't let go of his blade. That's something to pay attention to. So yeah, you need to watch out because my nigga Atomic finna get in the cheeks, like that shit up. But yeah, here you go. You got it. All right. For now, Black Sperm has the upper hand again. But like I said, watch out, nigga. So up next, we'll address the Zombieman situation. He's done for. I think it's clapped. Out of there, man. Like, it's like there's only so much you can really do, and I don't see what you could do besides getting help. I wanted to bring this up because this is some shit right here, and we're gonna be talking about this on the podcast too to be contrasting ideas as well. But because I know I want to hear what Zoe has to say about this shit. We just got told that sperm and homeless together is invincible. What does that mean? What does that mean? You got knowledge of Rover. You know who EC is. You're hyping up Goketsu. Orochi's fucking behind you. You encountered Gyoro. Black sperm and homeless can beat anybody? What does that mean? What does that mean? I'm gonna need 4 or 5 different niggas to tell me what they think that means because what? What does that mean? Like, are you telling me that homeless and Rover can beat Orochi? Do I have to spell it out? That's what I'm asking you. Does that quote mean that homeless and sperm together, homeless sperm, yeah, that Twitter name, I'm about to go back to that shit, that homeless sperm can beat Orochi? Niggas don't want to think about this, but Gyoro has been incorrect about things several times. That's been the case. That has been the case. Misjudge things. She's even in peril because of her misjudgment. So it's about time that we officially call into question the validity of Gyoro. We have to officially do that shit. It's important enough to our ability to predict, our ability to foreshadow whether we believe, to know whether we believe in Gyoro. Do you believe in Gyoro? Comment below. But yeah, it's like, what does that really mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm hype as fuck for it, but like, should I boost up a Zombieman and Atomic now more because out of all the people that could have been sent, they sent the invincible duo after them? Should Atomic be hyped? Should Atomic stock fly up even higher because he's encountering the stronger of the duo? Arguably, no, not even arguably, definitively, the great majority of the community is in consensus that sperm is stronger than homeless. Everybody says that. And the stronger of the invincible duo set after Atomic. So should Atomic stock not go high as fuck? Should the FAS not be a crazy ass technique because it could threaten the holy duo? My niggas. Y'all niggas stop. Y'all was talking shit about Atomic? Stop. No. The slander train can stop here. I'm putting up the goalpost, nigga. Hey, look. Atomic fought part of the invincible duo, bro. He held them niggas off, man. Low key. Atomic had the upper hand for a second, and he might get it back. Who knows, bro? I'm not the one that said it, bro. I did say it, little. I'm not the one who drew it, bro. And matter of fact, no, I'm not the one who said it. That was Gyoro. So, and speaking of, speaking of Gyoro, nigga, the fucking titties, nigga, god damn, man, I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. If he brought it over, I'd go over there for that shit. If the nigga moved over there, nigga, we moved over there too, nigga. If they stealing that way, nigga, we right behind them. They on a jet, nigga, fuel up. Nigga, I'm here for that. Bruh. Tatsumaki had that bitch all twirling and curling and spinning and dipping and flipping and tripping, doing all kinds of shit, my nigga. All kinds of shit. And I love that bitch, bruh. I loved every single drawing of it to the point that we should now fairly evaluate. Gyoro or Tatsumaki? Who do you think? Who's it? Who's next, man? I know niggas don't want to talk about Mizuki right now because she's in the mix too. And I'm not gonna dispute whatever you put her above these two, below these two, whatever you want to do. I just know that Fubuki's number one. So decide for yourselves. In the comment section below, let me know. Gyoro over Tatsumaki? Or Tatsumaki over Gyoro? Let me know. We did learn a little bit more about Gyoro's power. She is using the puppets like beacons, devices, receivers. So it seems like her telekinesis works like radiation. That may be the case for all of them. And we already know they have different uses, different techniques, and different methods in which they employ their psychic telekinetic capabilities. So to see Gyoro's being in action in this method isn't necessarily like unique, but it is unique in the fact that we haven't seen it done before. I'm not saying that Tatsumaki couldn't do it, but I haven't seen her talk to somebody from across the way. She, in some instances, is more proficient with her psychic abilities than Tatsumaki, but more in a diverse aspect than in terms of like competence. So I'm interested to see what else Gyoro can pull out. She had the entire puppet. She had a puppet out there that was tough as fuck. It's a pretty tough little puppet. It's a dragon level puppet for sure. And he was able to challenge Gyoro. This kind of does give credence to why Gyoro was able to like resist up against it. But still though, that was pretty tough. That's pretty tough. So to have that, and you're not even really there. Well, what is Gyoro like in person? She obviously doesn't want to fight Tatsumaki in person. She knows she's gonna get bust, but I'd like to see her like go all out for real. Seriously, get somebody who she can probably threaten, and see how that plays out. But yeah, it seems like it works. Like she's putting beacons everywhere, little eyeballs, like checkpoints, waypoints on the way, so that she could like divert and rally the signal, her telekinetic signal to wherever she wanted to. So it's interesting to see that. But I think that's pretty much it for the chapter review. As I said before, check out the links in the description for the Discord. It's where we'll be talking about everything that we just discussed. We'll be commenting on everything that we've been commenting on, that you've been seeing in the live chat, and what you've heard about in this live review in the Discord. Also, over the next week, we'll be having the One Punch Man podcast covering chapter 123. All the boys are back. Zoe's coming back. Matt's finally gonna be back. So if you guys want to hear the complete all-out discussion, come through. It's probably gonna be a longer one since there are things to address from the previous chapter as well, and the guys haven't addressed. Some more pivotal diving into some deep points, and we're also gonna be like, as I already said, there's some symbolic stuff that we can get into. So if you guys want to hear a lot of power scaling, a lot of deep thinking, come to the One Punch Man podcast for the next week, and we'll have episode 1, 2, 3 for you. That being said, make sure you check out our Patreon. We got a new patron. Shout out to Phoenix Man, who joined us with $5 tier. If you guys want to have shout outs at the end of the video, if you guys want to have your comments read, if you guys want to have early access to the One Punch Man podcast uncut, unedited, make sure you check out the Patreon, where we have different tiers to support whatever you'd like. If you'd like to just donate $1, $5, $10, $20, whatever you want to do, that's fine, as long as you support the Shogunate, because we grow. We grow with what y'all niggas give us. And the goal is to be a big-ass family, bro. I love One Punch, so let's get it done. See you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, and we on it. We on it. Yo-ho!